Welcome to our first session of our 4-week Advent Bible study. So instead of taking a look at a whole book of the Bible, what we're going to do through Advent is each week we're going to look at chapter 1 of the Gospel according to Luke. And this is the part of the story when Jesus is not yet born, and the Angel Gabriel is going to make some pit stops on earth and foretell Jesus' coming. And so what we're going to do is break the first chapter into 4 sections and explore them week by week. So I'm going to get started with Luke chapter 1, verses 5 to 25, which is the story of the birth of John the Baptist foretold. And I'm going to read it out loud for us and then offer just a little bit of explanation and instruction. Here we go. Luke chapter 1, verses 5 to 25. In the days of King Herod of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah, who belonged to the priestly order of Abijah. His wife was a descendant of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Both of them were righteous before God, living blamelessly according to all the commandments and regulations of the Lord. But they had no children, because Elizabeth was barren, and both were getting on in years. Once when he was serving as priest before God and his section was on duty, he was chosen by lot according to the custom of the priesthood, to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and offer incense. Now at the time of the incense offering, the whole assembly of the people was praying outside. Then there appeared to him an angel of the Lord, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was terrified, and fear overwhelmed him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John. You will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He must never drink wine or strong drink. Even before his birth, he will be filled with the Holy Spirit. He will turn many of the people of Israel to the Lord their God. With the spirit and power of Elijah, he will go before him to turn the hearts of parents to their children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." Zechariah said to the angel, "How will I know that this is so? For I am an old man, and my wife is getting on in years." The angel replied, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to bring you this good news. But now, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their time, you will become mute, unable to speak, until the day these things occur." Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah and wondered at his delay in the sanctuary. When he did come out, he could not speak to them, and they realized that he had seen a vision in the sanctuary. He kept motioning to them and remained unable to speak. When his time of service was ended, he went to his home. After those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and for 5 months she remained in seclusion. She said, "This is what the Lord has done for me when he looked favorably on me and took away the disgrace I have endured among my people." So that's Luke chapter 1, verses 5 to 25. And just for a little context about the author, Luke is believed to be a Gentile, meaning a non-Jewish person, who was a traveling companion of Paul. It's also believed that he's the author of Acts of the Apostles. And so quite a bit of the New Testament is Luke's work. And what Luke is setting up for us here in chapter 1 is the foretelling of John the Baptist's birth, right? So we know John the Baptist is the one who comes before Jesus and warns everybody that the time is coming, the kingdom has drawn near, the Lord has come. So here we hear of his parents, Elizabeth and Zechariah. And the text is very clear to tell us that Elizabeth and Zechariah are of the priestly tribe. And so what's really interesting to recognize here is that this offering of the incense that Zechariah is doing in the temple when the angel visits him, this is something that actually only happened once in a priest's lifetime. So this is an incredibly sacred and special moment for Zechariah, and this is when the angel Gabriel comes to him. So it's noted that Elizabeth and Zechariah are righteous people. They're good people in the eyes of the Lord. But unfortunately, they've been barren, and now they're elderly and they haven't been able to conceive a child, which socially and culturally at that time meant that they held a lot of disgrace. So when the angel Gabriel visits Zechariah and tells him that his wife will bear a child, Zechariah just doesn't really believe it. And what's interesting is that there's many stories in the Old Testament where angels will visit barren families and foretell the miraculous birth of a child. And often the reaction is disbelief. And so the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth and the birth of their miraculous child actually echoes and mirrors an Old Testament story, the story of Hannah, who also was barren and then conceived Samuel. As you might remember, Samuel later became a prophet, and he was the prophet who kind of was a forerunner to the story of King David. And so just as Samuel came to clear the way for King David, John the Baptist comes to clear the way for Jesus. And so we're going to see this theme of the Davidic kingship of Jesus, Jesus as the heir, the Messiah. It rings throughout the Old Testament prophets, and it's going to echo itself and set us up for the gospel according to Luke. So we'll explore that more. We'll also explore the connection to Hannah and Samuel in later videos. So as Advent unfolds and we continue to explore this first chapter of the Gospel according to Luke, we're going to see this message of Jesus coming. Jesus is the Messiah that we are waiting for. That's the message behind Advent that we're getting to enter into with this exploration of the Gospel according to Luke. So today we saw the angel Gabriel visit Zechariah in the temple at the time of the offering of incense, and to tell Zechariah that him and his wife would beat all the odds and would be conceiving a son. So this is pretty exciting, and Zechariah goes home, his wife does become pregnant, and that sets the stage for what happens next. So as we leave the story of Elizabeth and Zechariah and the infant John the Baptist yet unborn, we're going to leave them on pause, and next week we're going to look at the angel Gabriel visiting Mary. So I hope to explore that with you soon. Take care.